Hi guys, welcome back to CJ's Keto Kitchen. Tonight we're going to be making a very easy dish. It only has a couple of ingredients and it's actually a copycat recipe. It is a recipe from Outback Steakhouse and it is called Alice Springs Chicken. So come along with me and let's get started.
Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so...
So this particular dish is famous at Outback Steakhouse and it is not a ketogenic dish, but I have done my best to make it so. It is one of their best-selling dishes and is a chicken dish, and it is called Alice Springs. That is actually in Australia, basically in the middle of the continent. And of course, to all of our Australian subscribers, we realize that Outback Steakhouse is not traditional Australian food, although they do have Outback restaurants in Australia, so they must not be too offended. But this is a very easy and delightful dish, and it's something you can throw together on a busy weeknight. So let's go ahead and get started. So this dish is going to need to cook in your oven for about 30 minutes, and you need to put your oven temperature on preheat to 350 degrees. You are also going to need a baking dish. I'm using a 9 by 13. It all depends on the size of your chicken breasts, of course, but this is the size that I'm going to be using, and I have put a little bit of avocado oil spray in mine. You're also going to need a large skillet. Into my large skillet, I have started rewarming 3/4 of a cup of crumbled bacon. If you are starting out with strip bacon, that is a 1/2 pound. And I am just rewarming it in its own drippings. Okay, so the things that you're going to need for this recipe, the most important part, of course, is the chicken, because this is Alice Springs Chicken. So I actually have 2 chicken breasts here. This is only 2 breasts. And I have sliced them horizontally to make them even thinner. I have also put down a piece of plastic cling wrap. You could use parchment paper or wax paper, whatever you want. And I have pounded my chicken down to as thin as I can get it. It's about a 1/2 inch. So you want your chicken as thin as possible. That is how it is served traditionally at Outback. So we do want to do this to our chicken. It's going to make everything a lot more even when we put it in our dish, and it will be easier for us to just do a quick browning on this later on. So you do need about 2 chicken breasts. Also, this depends on the size of your chicken breasts. If you see that your grocery store only has chicken breasts that are quite small, you can, of course, accommodate this, but it's about 2 pounds worth of chicken here. Okay, to our skillet with the warming bacon, I'm going to be adding 1 cup of mushrooms. I'm going to be using cremini mushrooms here. You could use white mushrooms, you could use portobello, any kind of mushroom that you would like, but it needs to be 1 cup. And I'm going to eyeball this. About 1/2 of my bag. And we are just going to saute these mushrooms in with the bacon because it's going to give that really delicious flavor. And I'm just breaking these up a bit. And that's just going to soften our mushrooms a little bit. We don't need them completely sauteed because when we do put them into our chicken dish, you're going to want to taste, you know, that little bit of meatiness from your mushroom. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer the mushrooms and the bacon into a small bowl because we are going to use this same pan to brown our chicken. So even though we have just a little bit left of our rendered bacon fat in there, it is maybe not quite enough to brown our chicken. So I'm going to add just a little bit of beef tallow. Beef tallow is wonderful for the ketogenic diet. We bought this on Amazon. You can buy it locally at some of your Whole Foods type stores, but we will link this one because it was a very good deal, because this is quite a bit of beef tallow. And I'm just going to put a little bit in the bottom of our pan just to assist our chicken with the browning process. So I have taken my chicken from my skillet and I just browned it on both sides. It's not necessarily cooked all the way through because we are going to bake this in the oven for about a half hour, but it is browned nicely on both sides. I'm now going to take the chicken that we browned and put in our baking dish, and I'm going to season it a little bit. I have Trader Joe's 21 seasoning salute and some garlic powder here, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over my chicken breasts. So traditionally, this dish, the Alice Springs Chicken at the Outback Steakhouse, comes with a honey mustard sauce, both on the dish itself when it's prepared, and it also comes on the side with your dish. So honey mustard is not really a ketogenic food, so I'm going to replicate that with a couple of items. So to begin with, I have a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise in my bowl. I'm going to be using a product by Pure, and it's called Harmless Honey. And this is a sugar-free product that mimics honey. If you don't want to use this, you don't have to. You could just add a little bit of sweetener to your honey mustard sauce. If you had yacon syrup or a sugar-free maple syrup alternative, you could probably also use something like that. But this is not very expensive. In a lot of places, I know my Walmart carries the Pure brand, so it's completely up to you. But I did notice when I opened it up that it does indeed smell like honey and it tastes like honey. So I'm going to be using a 1/4 cup of this. I have taken my silicone measuring cup and I have sprayed it a little bit with avocado spray in hopes that my honey will come out easier. And it did come out pretty well. So the next ingredient for our Alice Springs chicken sauce is Dijon mustard, and you really do want to use Dijon because it has that white vinegar bite. Of course, Grey Poupon is the brand that popularized Dijon, but it doesn't matter what kind of Dijon you use. I'm going to be using a store brand that happens to be organic. But it does need to be Dijon because it has that tang to it that regular mustard does not have. And we also want a 1/4 cup of that. So I'm now going to take my whisk and I'm going to whisk these all together. Now I am of course going to put this onto our breasts and it's going to bake in the oven, but if you wanted to make some additional sauce for dipping later or to use to top it when it comes out of the oven, you absolutely could do that. Okay, so there's our sauce, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on our chicken breasts. Okay, on top of our sauced breasts, I am going to re-put in our mushrooms and bacon that we sauteed earlier. I'm just going to give this a stir because our lovely bacon drippings have settled to the bottom. And I'm just going to put this evenly over our chicken. And we want to make sure that each breast gets some. And I'm just going to take my spoon and make sure that it's evenly distributed. Now the final step for our Alice Springs chicken is cheese. And in their recipe, they use Kojak cheese, and that is what I'm going to be using here as well. And I have 2 cups. You can, of course, use a different kind of cheese if you prefer, or you can use more cheese or less cheese depending on how cheesy you are, but I'm very cheesy. Okay, so there is our Alice Springs chicken, and we are going to put this into our 350-degree oven, and we are going to cook it for 30 minutes. time to take it out of the oven. So there it is. I did 29 minutes and then I broiled the top for 1 minute. So it was 30 minutes exactly. So with all dishes that come out of the oven, we're gonna let it sit here for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we will have our taste test from CJ. Okay, welcome to the Outback at home. So this is a copycat recipe that I've made ketogenic, and it is Alice Springs Chicken. Okay, our resident taste tester is going to give us his opinion.
Hi. It's always so formal. I hardly ever know what to say after you get that formal introduction. I had never heard of this before. At Outback.
You know,
but when I think of Outback, I think about steak.
right, that is what they're most famous
So
for. And bloomin' onion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not that I don't doubt that this is there. I just never, when I go to Outback, I've only ever had a steak and a bloomin' onion.
It's their most popular dish after their steaks.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I do my research.
It's delicious. Oh, actually it is. It's really good. Good bacon flavor. Why didn't we use chicken thighs?
That's not what is in the recipe. That's not how it's made. You could use thighs if you really wanted to, but you need to be able to pound them really thick. So if you could get a, boneless thigh down pretty thin.
Oh, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah,
you're
but
right.
this has quite a bit of fat in it with the other toppings, and of course I did brown them in tallow.
Yeah, no,
so.
and I just was curious.
Yeah, no, it was a good question.
I think it's good, and I think it'll be better as it sits.
Yep.
I mean, it's only been out for maybe 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So I think it'll be better, and it looked like it was simple to make.
It is.
The mustard sauce is good. I don't know, maybe it would be good to have some on the side.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't do that, but
Yeah, that's good to know.
it might be good to have some on the side.
They do serve it on the side.
So you can dip some.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. I like it. Thanks for doing the hard work. Bye.
Of course. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us again tonight, you guys. We hope that you enjoyed the chicken. I know that we definitely are going to. It's nice to have variety when making ketogenic foods. We hope that you will consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you know when all of our content goes up. If you could also hit the like button, that helps the YouTube algorithm know that you're interested in this type of content and also in seeing our videos in your feed. We are also on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and we're doing a little bit of TikTok now and again. So definitely check us out there, and that is CJsKetoKitchen in all of those places. If you need any information for this recipe and other recipes that we have done in the past, that includes all the nutritional information, the macros, ingredients. Most of our recipes are printable. And I also talk about the things I learned while making this particular recipe, and also CJ's taste test follow-up. That is all on our blog, and that is CJsKetoKitchen.com. We hope that you will come back and see us again, and until that time, be well. Bye.
It's cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend the night underneath the mistletoe, and I've gotten you a present that I put under the tree. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me. The snow is falling down and the storm is on its way, but as long as you're around, everything will be okay. 'Cause all I wanna do is spend this holiday with you. Tomorrow